Actually, Linna's talk that reminded me of the population health that cancer is the second biggest cause of death in the population, and for the working population, it's the biggest one really. People who are under 64 years. So it's quite understandable that most or very large proportion of drug development goes into oncology and cancer. And you can't really develop a drug, or you can't at least bring it to the patients at the market without putting them through several different types of clinical trials. So I will shortly go through cancer clinical trials, and our unit, the Finland Clinical Cancer Trial Unit, I mean, we've done for ages cancer trials in the hospital, but in a way that hasn't been organized at all. And just very recently, we put up this unit under the Finland Cancer Center, trying to make it more professional and more organized, and also make it grow more. Try to make more links with the university, and actually the unit was selected for the university infrastructure roadmap just last year. So we do sponsored trials, meaning those with pharma, mainly big pharma, but there are also some smaller drug companies, but also academic trials, which we call the researcher-initiated trials. Most of these are obviously drug trials, but especially for the researchers, we also do radiation trials in surgery, plastic surgery, for example, and other aspects of patient care, for example, palliative care. And for companies that might be interested, there are some possibilities to do registry studies. For example, very many companies seem to be interested in real-world data aspects, but that is something that we have to do in cooperation with the hospital data lake, or Auria tietopalvelu, that is called. Lots of different types of cancer that we study. Obviously, all those that we work with in the Department of Oncology. I think these are the biggest one: breast cancer, prostate cancer, GI cancers, lymphomas, kidney and melanoma. Might add also bladder cancer there. There are some basket studies, meaning that they take all kinds of different kinds of cancer types in one studies, and umbrella trials. Also, we work with very close contacts with the gynecology department, actually perform all of their trials. Also, we've got one doctor from the Department of Pulmonology working with lung cancers, and then especially adjuvant trials, for example, for prostate and kidney, we work with the Department of Urology. The only things that really lack from the unit are the hematological trials, leukemia, myelomas mainly, and pediatric cancers. Obviously, most of the trials are those for phase 1, but in the past 2 years, we have initiated several phase 1 trials also. We've got, in principle, possibility to do first-in-man trials in the hospital, but they are so risky, and there are very little available of those that we haven't really done any of those. Early-phase trials are always much more difficult, much more time-consuming as well. And as I said, we do commercial and research-initiated trials. Unlike in the academic environment, you can't really do this alone. you need lots of different organizations, different types of people. For every trial, you need a sponsor. For the pharma, it's obvious, it's the drug company. For research-initiated trials, you need to work with the hospital that they agree to be the sponsor here. And drug companies don't directly work with us. There's always someone between, usually a clinical research organization and a clinical research associate that works with the investigators and as the monitor, for example. What we provide are the study nurses, the investigators, mainly oncologists, the doctors. You need one principal, I need usually several sub-investigators in one trial. And what you really need also for cancer trials, without exception, really, you need radiologists, pathologists, you need the pharmacy involved, you need laboratory involved, and you have to negotiate with each of these. At the moment, we've got a bit of problems, especially with the radiologists, that they are really lacking in the hospital. And this is really heavily regulated, the clinical trials, the paper work that you need to do is just astonishing. We usually start with a feasibility assessment and see if we are able to handle the work, if you can recruit those patients, if we got those. Then you need lots of stuff. Obviously, you need a protocol. You have to negotiate all budgets to different places. You need GPR, registered policy, informed consent. Yeah, also you need obviously ethical approval for the thing, and then after that you got all these. You need a permission from the hospital, and those the time for the ethical approval and the hospital permission is usually, you can't say exactly, but for us it's fairly fast. It's around 2 months, and this is something that the companies are very interested in, because in some places it can take a very long time, half a year or even more. The actual patient treatment is then our work, recruitment of the patients, which is not always straightforward, mainly because many of them, the protocols are so strictly defined for the inclusion and exclusion criteria that we can't really find any patients, and sometimes that's a problem. We should see that in the feasibility assessment, but it doesn't always work out. And our normal examination treatment is really that we like. And then, of course, there's lots of data filling to do for the case reports forms for the company. If they are adverse or serious adverse events, those make quite a bit of work for us. At the moment, I calculated that in total we've got 240 open studies in total. Those are just open, they are not recruiting everyone, but still open, out of which 90 are drug trials. But as you can see, we do quite a bit of academic research initiative studies. About two-thirds of the active studies are academic, and rest sponsored commercial trials. At the moment, we've got 40 recruiting trials, and the number is going up all the time. As you see already, last year it has already doubled from 2019, and this year probably will be even bigger the number. So the unit is growing at the moment really fast. At the moment, the early phase trials, meaning phase 1 trials, we've got 5 of those going on, and the rest are in phase 2 or 3. The turnover, obviously the amount of trials has gone up. Turnover is going up as well. For a long time, it was about 500,000, but started to grow 2 years ago. And last year was already close to 2.5 million euros. And this doesn't really include the drugs that the companies provide to the hospital. So hospital made savings at least calculated 500,000 euros a year just for getting drugs without compensation. And we also calculated that in the immunological drugs, which are maybe the most expensive these days, the savings in 3 years has been 1.5 million for the hospital. So this is actually something that's very good for the hospital, also very good for the university, as we don't get any, we pay all the salaries from the money that we get from these trials. So we do it free for the hospital. At the moment, got 2 study coordinators that do the negotiations, all the coordination here, 5 research nurses on top of that, and we are recruiting more people there. Not all the people are in this. 1 doctor, 1 oncologist is full-time working in the department, and then we've got, of course, several, at least 10 other doctors that work part-time or do trial with, but one doctor 50% of his time, and 2 gynecologists working in there. And then we, of course, contract all the radiologists, pathologists, laboratory services, and so on. If you want to take a look at what kind of trials there is going, you can go into fibanwest.fi web pages. We've got there online all the recruiting trials, not all the open, but those ones that take new patients in. If you want to contact us, I, of course, could be one, but then our research coordinator, Kirsi Pentilä, is probably even better. And then we've got, this will be for the cancer patients, but also for companies. Suopatutkimus, the email address in there. Okay, that was a short overview of the clinical cancer trial unit at TUKS.